Don Porter was born on July 10, 1933 in McMinnville. Don's height and athleticism made him a standout player in every sport he tried from an early age. Entering high school, he decided to focus on two sports, basketball and baseball, making the varsity teams for both as only a freshman. That year was a great learning experience for Don as he got to compete with and against better competition. His teams played hard, with the basketball team winning over half of their games and making the state tournament, where they went 1 up and 2 down. Although the Grizzlies struggled in his second basketball season, losing 7 games by 4 points or less, the 6'5" center flourished, earning all-league honorable mention. The baseball team fared well that spring, winning half of their games, as Don shined in his role as the starting first baseman. Going into the following basketball season, Don worked hard on his game and developed an extremely accurate hook shot. As the undisputed focal point of the offense, the junior class president led the league in scoring, averaging 17 points per game, and taking the Grizzlies to the second best record in league, while earning an all-league first-team selection. That year, the baseball team remained competitive as they again won half of their games, with Don now showing off his versatility as an athlete by filling in some as pitcher on top of his duties at first base. Hopes were high for Don and the Grizzlies entering his senior basketball season. As the student body vice president and chairman of 2 other extracurricular organizations, Porter's popularity was exploding as Mackay voted him as their friendliest guy and most popular. He even received some endorsements from a few of the local businesses in McMinnville, and that basketball season, Don Porter not only lived up to, but even superseded the hype. He crushed the league's all-time scoring record, which was previously set by him in his junior season, by scoring an incredible 571 points, 330 of which in only 14 league games, giving him a 24-point-per-game average. Don led the Bears to a 21-6 overall record, winning 12 of their 14 league games, while cruising to a league championship and back into the state playoffs for the first time since his freshman year. Though the Grizzlies lost both of their tournament games, Don impressed the entire state as he scored 28 points per game in the playoffs while earning all-league, all-state, and all-tournament first-team selections. The University of Oregon was so impressed, they awarded him with a full athletic scholarship. After finishing up a great year with the baseball team taking second place in league, Don was off to Eugene in the summer of 1952. The transition onto the Ducks basketball and baseball teams was hard for Don, as he did not see much playing time as a freshman. In his sophomore year, Porter decided to transfer to Portland State University, where he received a greater opportunity for success. He was an all-league first-team player on the basketball team, as he led the conference in scoring with 26.6 points per game. It was then when Don began to come into his own as a first baseman, being selected on the all-league first team. He was offered a tryout with the professional baseball team, but turned it down because he wanted to continue his education without losing his eligibility to play college sports over the next 2 years. Those next 2 years would be spent at Linfield College. Don was homesick and decided to return to McMinnville after a 2-year absence. At that time, Linfield basketball was struggling for respectability. The young Wildcats had just spent their second straight season as the conference's worst team, but the leadership and phenomenal play of Porter helped turn the frown upside down as the Cats climbed out of the conference's cellar.
One of the weak points of Linfield at that time was that we probably had less skill in the center position than the rest of the team. Don gave us stability there and skill. And again, that hook shot was the one that all the league kept working on to try to hold that boy down.
Each opponent was very tough, but the Wildcats finished up in a solid 4th place standing, only a couple of losses away from second place and a playoff appearance. However, the story of the season was the offensive explosion of Don Porter, who was the conference's second and Northwest's third leading scorer with a 45.6 point per game average. He was only behind future San Francisco 49er R.C. Owens and soon-to-be Los Angeles Lakers star Elgin Baylor. This astronomical average of almost 46 points per game is still Linfield's #1 all-time single-season scoring record. His remarkable season earned him an all-conference first-team selection along with All-American honors. The year continued to go well for Don as he again stood out at first base that baseball season, helping the team to a second-place finish in the conference. He decided to continue working on his baseball skills that summer when he joined the Drain Black Sox semi-professional baseball team. In his senior basketball season, Don continued to score on his opponents at will. This time, he led the conference in scoring as well as his team to a second-place conference finish and a spot in the NAIA tournament. He was awarded another all-conference first team and All-American selections. Linfield decided to honor Don by retiring his number 34 jersey after just 2 seasons of play, and he is still to this day the school's only 2-time All-American in basketball. Porter capped off his illustrious collegiate career with another great baseball season with the team winning the conference championship. His experience with the Drain Black Sox, whom he was still playing for, helped his skills grow as he controlled first base as well as contributed some in the outfield. After his graduation from Linfield College with a degree in education in 1956, Don was drafted into the National Basketball Association by the St. Louis Hawks. The Hawks had a magical season, led by Hall of Famers Bob Pettit and Cliff Hagan, losing in 7 games with the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals. However, Don was only able to compete in training camp with the team because he was again drafted by a different organization, the United States Army. He spent the next 2 years stationed at Fort Gordon, Georgia, where he played on the All-Armed Forces basketball team that won a national championship. Upon his discharge from the military, Don wanted to continue his education by returning to Linfield and achieving his master's degree, while rejoining the Drain Black Sox. During the next 2 years, he taught and coached basketball at Beaverton High School and led the Black Sox to a national championship. He also competed on an AAU basketball team for which he was an all-star. In 1961, he moved on to Tigard High School where he had tremendous success, leading the basketball team to a second-place finish at the state tournament in 1963, winning the state's Coach of the Year honors in the process.
He was so good around kids. Kids just loved being around him because he was a fun guy to be around.
2 years later, Don took the administrative position of Student Activities Director and head basketball coach at Lower Columbia College in Longview, Washington. In his first season, he led LCC to a school record in wins, more than the 3 previous years combined. In 1967, he led them to a league championship and into the state playoffs, which won Don the Junior College Coach of the Year award for the state of Washington. Also that year, he was voted as Lower Columbia's Man of the Year, the City of Longview's Citizen of the Year, and was inducted to the NAIA Hall of Fame for his outstanding collegiate careers. Porter took one more team to another league championship and state playoff appearance before retiring in 1970.
Every time I think of Don, I think of a fun-loving guy that was always joking and having a good time, but don't put a ball in his hands, because he became a different person at that point. Very intense and very skilled.
After his retirement, Don moved back to McMinnville to take over his family's trucking business, as well as start several other businesses of his own. From 1980 to 1985, Porter served as mayor of McMinnville, then as county commissioner for several years afterward. In 1993, he decided to realize a lifelong goal of going into the restaurant business. He started Porter's Pub, a sports bar and restaurant in Kaiser, Oregon, that is now run by 3 of his 5 children and still going strong today. Shortly after he moved to Kaiser, Don began aggressively lobbying for the addition of a semi-pro baseball team. As one of the co-founders of Crater Stadium in 1997, his hard work had paid off when the Salem-Kaiser Volcanoes baseball team moved to town. The Salem-Kaiser area still remembers how instrumental Don was to the starting of that franchise. On May 15, 2005, a rare nerve disease took the life of Don Porter. But before his passing, he was honored by Linfield College when they inducted him into their Athletic Hall of Fame in 2000. McMinnville again remembers him today, forever cementing the imperishable legacy of Don Porter.